Hi and welcome. It's Peg, and today Chelsea and I did a live video on Art Joy Sharing where we share the screen and create for Art Joy Sharing in our Facebook group. And today's prompt was all about the mood board. Now, Shell was saying April showers, and it's that time of year when the rains come, the winds come, the gray skies come, and we got a lot of gray skies right now with what's going on in the world. So we thought this was very appropriate for our mood this month. So I'm just showing some different ephemera that I have in my collection. I'm using a Moleskine journal here. It's got very thin paper, and I coated it with some gesso first just to keep things from going through the papers. And then I'm starting to layer up some old text, lots of different papers and things that I have out of my stash. And then I'm looking for a blue. These are archival inks, and that was too pale. This one's got a little more. It's a coneflower blue, and I'm going to use Stencil Girl stencils here. I think this one's called River Rock or something like that. It's a Mary Beth Shaw, and I'm going to put some of those bubbles down because I'm thinking about water and the things that are reflected in the mood board: the blue, the water, raindrops, all of those types of things. There's a little bit of yellow, a little bit of blue, a little bit of gray, all those colors that we're seeing on the mood board. So I'm just putting that down, layering something into the background. And I'm going to use a lot of different things on here. It's going to be a very textural page. I had not used this product from Art Basics before. It's a white sand paste, and I didn't realize that. I should have read it. It's a texture paste, but it really is clear, and it just has a little bit of sparkle to it. And I was thinking it was going to be white. Well, white sand doesn't mean it's white. It just means that it's like the sparkle that's in a white sandy beach. So it is going to reflect some of the color that is underneath. And it goes on kind of white, but as it dries, it becomes a lot more translucent. So I'm using another Stencil Girl stencil and just layering that on the page. This one happens to be from who? This one is Jessica Sporn. It's S170 from Stencil Girl Products. And I thought it kind of looked like water flow or raindrops or something like that. And so I thought it would be appropriate for the mood we were feeling with that mood board. So make sure if you're using those products that you clean your stencil off thoroughly, because it will ruin a stencil if you let it sit there. So I'm just wiping that stencil down, getting that paste off of it. And I'm going to have to let that dry. It takes quite a while for this paste to dry, longer than I thought it would. I should have used some light molding paste or something like that that dried faster. I did not. So next I'm getting out some grunge board. I was talking about all the things that we have laying around in our stash that we haven't used forever. And grunge board hasn't even been on the market for a couple of years. I need to use up what I have. Everybody talks about the smell of grunge board. Yeah, it's got kind of an odor. But I took all of mine out of the packaging some time ago and just set it in a drawer. And it's not as bad as it used to be. And if you're sealing it up with some gesso or something, it's really not going to be as smelly as the original grunge board. So, yeah, here I am trying to dry that stuff down. So now I'm reaching for the gesso. I'm going to push the background into the background more with some gesso. You can still see the text in the inks and things coming through, I just want to unify the background a bit and push it into the background. I will be layering things on top of this. And this is that grunge board that I had put gesso on, and I'm just drying that down a bit. We videotape for an hour and a half live on Thursday. We're also doing it on Mondays right now because we are stuck at home and everybody needs something to do. So, we're trying to fulfill the need by creating art and giving you prompts and things to do and something to watch. So I'm just punching those out. I'm not going to actually use the flourishes that are part of this. I'm going to use the background part. It looks very thunderbolty, or, like lightning in the sky. And I thought, okay, we're doing a stormy day, clouds, rainy, that sort of thing. I'm going to use that portion of this grunge board because you can use the whole thing if you want to. So I'm just showing you the pieces there. And I'm going to start kind of auditioning where I want these on the page. I've got some die cuts and different elements that I'm just pulling out of my stash. This happens to be a Sizzix die, Tim Holtz Umbrella Man, liking that. And now I'm putting some gesso down over that white sand texture paste. And you can still see through that also. But I'm preparing the page to start adding those elements. And this is some drywall tape. I like the texture that's in that, and that's what I'm thinking about, is what kind of texture am I going to add to this page. This is going to be a very chunky journal page. A lot of people work very flat when it comes to journal pages. I work both ways. There is no right or wrong when it comes to how you prepare your journal. And I do like chunky books, and I do like flat pages that fit together too. So depends on what I'm working on at the time. This little journal is very thin pages, and I'm just trying it out to see if it's even going to hold up to all of this, because the paper weight is very thin, more like a sketchbook. It's not meant to carry all of this media. And I had gessoed it first before I put down the additional layer of text paper, but even that is still fairly thin. So I'm going to my stash and I'm looking at different pieces of chipboard and things that I can embellish the page with, and trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I want to have some balance on the page, and I'm still going back to the inspiration, which has flowers, spring flowers, and a blue, and the rain, the clouds, that sort of thing. And so I want to bring that feeling and element, all of those elements, into the page. So I'm using some gel stain from Deco Art in ebony, and also some Deco Art Media Fluid Acrylic in quinacridone gold, because these gear parts need to look like they're rusted up, and gears are sometimes brass or copper or something like that, and I want to have that rusted gear feeling. And now I'm adding some blue paper because I want a landing pad for my little umbrella man. You know, he can't just be floating out there in the air. And still gluing things down, adding gesso and glue, and yeah, it's a whole layering process getting these things on here. And I'm just arranging them in something that is pleasing to my eye. I want them to kind of go across the page in a scattered catty corner pattern, and I think I'm achieving that. I'm going to get some thread out in some buttons eventually and add some texture with that. I'm also going to add one of Tim Holtz's, what do they call those, chit chat or sayings? They come in these books that you can get at the craft store. Now, I could have printed out my own saying, but you know, I've got this stuff in my stash. I need to use it anyway. So now I'm getting out those chalk paints. I found those on the clearance aisle, and you know, they were a couple bucks, and I hadn't opened them before today, and I thought, you know, I need to open those up and see what I like about them. And the teal color kind of goes better with the papers and flowers that I have on there, but I really wanted that stormy gray blue on the page too. So I'm going to combine both of those blues and add them in on this project. And I want to water it down. I take my spray gun because I want it to go into the cracks and crevices that I created all that texture on the page. I want you to be able to see the texture. I'm also splattering with my brush, getting some of that blue splattered around the page. And of course we have to dry again, so it'll be a process. So the next thing I pull out of my drawer are these DIY waxes. I'm trying to use a stencil brush, and the page is just way too textural for me to use the brush effectively. I thought I was going to dry brush with that, but I end up using my finger and this makeup brush to apply those waxes. I have a black and a white, and I'm utilizing both of those, blending things out. And once I get those down, I'll go looking for my phrase to add to my page. So I'm going to cut that in half and apply it to the page using that 3D gel medium. And if you're looking for something to hold heavyweight things down on a page, that 3D gel is great. And then I use my black archival ink just to go around the edge of the page, and I'm going to grab a couple of stamps. This one happens to be just a script stamp and another little dot stamp from Finnabair, I think. And there's some thread. I'm going to add the buttons and thread just to unify things across the page a little bit more. I'm going to run those threads together there. And I should still be able to fold the book page closed with the threads in the middle. But I gotta let it dry. Gotta let it dry. So that's it from me this week. I hope you go to visit Art Joy Sharing and Shell. And as always, thank you for being kind and leaving comments, so liking, subscribing, sharing, and you know, all of the patronage that you afford me. So thanks, guys, and we'll be back again before long. Shell and I have been doing this twice a week now, and I hope you're enjoying it and staying safe, and your family is healthy and happy, and I will see you again soon. Love to all.